All right, everyone, welcome to another wonderful Whiskey Wednesday. It is Midnight Hatter Live, the weekly variety show where we talk Gunpla, hobbies, gaming, all of that good stuff. Today is going to be an interesting stream because, I pitched out a little poll to the Patreon supporters, see what they wanted to talk about today, and Gunpla tools is the topic du jour. And, of course, joining me, as always, is the new type Adam Blue. How are you doing, buddy?
New type. Yeah, I feel like a new type. I certainly do. Especially on a Wednesday when it's the middle of the week. It was full of work. Now it's full of fun as we get into this topic, because this is a good one.
Yeah, I think that this is going to be fun. Last week we had such a fantastic discussion, not just about Gunpla, but we also got into the weeds about, just inspiration in general and motivation and being a creative and working in creative spaces. And I think that we have potential to do that here if we can get through the maximum grift overdrive that I've got going on. Because I will admit that the links in the description below, I do earn a commission off of those, full disclosure. I am an Amazon affiliate, so anything that you buy on Amazon, of course, I'll get a small kickback and you won't have to pay anything extra for that. So it's just an additional way to support throw a coin toss a coin to your hatter, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
But and of course, slight disclaimer here is, all of these things that I'm going to be talking about tonight, we it's really only available to people in North America, United States and Canada. I'm going to poll the chat and see if, obviously HobbyLink Japan is a big international site, but any kind of international shipping, a lot of the products that I'm going to talk about here are actually available worldwide, and some of them are even available in drugstores. Although I'll admit that my local Walgreens has not pulled through for me. We'll say that.
Trickovec is saying Hobby League Japan is his go-to.
There you go. Yeah, HobbyLink Japan tends to be the preferred vendor over in Europe. So, and of course, how you doing, Trickovec? How you doing, Lucas Garrett? Good to see you guys in chat. There's some guy named Gundam Explain spamming us. That's really annoying. But yeah, in case you... oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, before we get into everything, I thought it would be really neat to show something. Because I never talk about this on Gundam Explain, but as hobbyists, I'm a fan of Star Wars. Here's a Bandai buffet that I detailed. I didn't paint it, but I detailed it. So there was some painting, but not the overall colors. Another interesting thing. So, you get your boxes of Gunpla. Normally, I throw them away. I did it where I unfolded them and made them flat, so I still have the art.
Very smart.
Just discovered something with that I might do with that I'm now doing with the Star Wars stuff. So this is like from a play bill. Those little play booklets you get, and you would put them in here. They fit exactly the same size for the Star Wars. So I have my entire, all the vintage collection stuff. And I need to buy another one of these. I have so many. Now, these aren't the old figures. These are the new ones. That's how many they have in this. Oh, just a little tip out there. It's another type of tool, but for organizing boxes. Sometimes you want to keep them. Sometimes you want to throw them away. But so for those that want to keep them.
Now, give me a second. I'm going to stand up real quick. Adam, you keep chatting. I need to grab something because you just reminded me of something.
Okay. And while he's grabbing that, I have a whole other set that I need to put in the binder. So I have to actually order another one. And this is going to help reduce the space I'm taking up, but still collect everything.
So I thought about creating a binder to keep all of my Gunpla box art, but unfortunately, this box is a little, it's awkward. As most people's dads would say, it's not heavy, it's just awkward. I can't.
That's pretty amazing because, you want to hold on to it, right? Because it feels wrong to throw it out.
Oh, right. And it's got all of your different configurations for your Argama launch deck on the back. How else am I going to know how to configure this shelf of mine?
I love it. But I guess is that one you'll just kind of hold on to, maybe eventually keep it in the attic or something?
Yeah. I mean, I've got an old shoe cabinet that I keep. It's like a larger shoe cabinet, and I keep all of my Gunpla boxes in there. because you never know what you might end up using a runner for. So it's always
Yeah, then your poor shoes, where are they? Or do you just not have any?
oh well, since I don't sell shoes anymore, I don't collect them either.
Did you
Um,
used to collect and sell shoes?
oh yeah, well, so I mean, I used to work at Dick's Sporting Goods. I worked in the footwear department, and so
Oh,
it's one of those things where people don't take you seriously about running shoes unless you're wearing, some of the latest greatest running shoes. So it was like I always had to stay on top of trends and whatnot.
my
Um,
favorite, the Merrill Vapor gloves. Those were
those are
always my shoe of choice.
yeah. I was a New Balance minimalist guy, which
Oh,
similar
yeah.
concept, the like flat sole,
Zero
minimal.
drop, I think they call it. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Like,
four
yeah, that's
millimeter
cool.
heel toe offset.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was I gonna mention? Oh yeah, if you guys obviously, everyone here in chat is a fan of Adams, from Gundam Explained.
Oh,
Started a new series today reviewing a oft overlooked Gundam series from the late UC. Shout out to Scorponok over on my server because,
he's the fan.
he's a fan of
Oh,
the
yeah, that's
old
right.
the old Victory. So go check
Mm.
out that episode 1 review. Adam, did you have any key takeaways from this video? Because this is a rewatch for you, but
Yeah. It's a rewatch for me, and I wanted to set it up right because I think sometimes people just it's really I think if you historically any Gundam that has had a substantial long series, I guess I'm really just talking about Double Zeta as well, are not dubbed tend to be overlooked in general. I think
oh
a
yeah,
dub helps the general audience get into it. But one thing that's not necessarily related to Victory as much as my thumbnails is I think it was last the my video before I was talking about the Gundam development project, and then at the bottom I put like UC lore in the year. Now I'm obsessed with that. Like I think I'm gonna go back to all my thumbnails and try
and
to
update
put
them with
like
that.
yeah the universe it's from and the year. That might help when people are looking through a video and they're like, oh I want to know more about that era, and then click
Right.
on it.
Yeah, and I mean it creates a consistent theme as opposed to just episode reviews. I think that
Yeah.
having almost like a season of UC Lord 0088, UC Lord 0096. I hope that we see some more of this sweet man bun in some of those thumbnails.
I think so. I think, I did this the other day. The wife loved it. It made me happy. I'm a fan of samurai, and for some
Very
reason, I just
shinobi.
associate that with samurai.
Yep, I'm into it. Well, without any further gilding of the lily or any of our intro talk, like I said, go check out Adam's new video. Links to all of the Gundam Explained channels down in the description below. But let's hop into the topic du jour. I think we're going to cover first are kind of the must-haves when it comes to Gunpla building. And you really should not build Gunpla. I mean, you can build Gunpla with nail clippers if you want, but I think that most people would prefer to use some hobby nippers of some kind. And I've spent a lot of money on nippers in the past, and I've found that there are some that are fantastic, some that maybe you know could be overrated. I don't know. Now I do have one set of God hands. It's the one that you're seeing on screen here. It's the God Hand PN125 model. This is their base model. It is not the single-bladed $60 pair of nippers that they have on offer. Um, this is a serviceable set of nippers, and it's lasted me about 3 years so far. I've had it for a number of years and haven't dulled it too badly. There's a huge debate in the Gunpla community about the single blade nippers versus the double blade nippers, and I'll be honest with you, having tried both, I have not experienced a difference in the cutting quality of the nippers. I have, however, noticed a difference in durability. And I think what that comes down to is, with your double-bladed nippers, what's happening is you've got blades on both sides. They come together at a point, and it's kind of like when you chomp your teeth down, you're just wearing down that edge on those nippers. And so after maybe 4 or 5 kits, you start to notice that the plastic stresses under those cuts a little bit more. And that's unfortunate.
Uh, cool.
With the single bladed
Yeah.
nippers, since there's not a contact on the other side, it's just a single blade, you're not wearing it down as much with the impacts. At least that's been my experience. Chat, let me know if I'm way out of line here, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. But
I think that makes sense. In fact, so here's some nippers that are it could be the same in terms of because of the price. I looked up like reviews to see, hey, what's something cheap? Because what I'm doing is I'm just really getting the part off the runner.
right,
The next step is with the God hand, where it's almost like I'm not even using it to nip. I'm using it to clean almost. I mean, there is a little bit of nipping, but it's more of like sculpting.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
typically I've done that using hobby knives and
Yeah.
well, we'll get into some of the other tools that I've been using lately. I've even used these. This is a cheap set of nippers that came with a kit that had like
Yeah.
several sanding sticks in it. And I'll be honest, these nippers work. They're not my favorite. I typically use them for cleaning up 3D prints because I'm going to end up sanding and painting the 3D prints anyway. I don't have to worry about
Oh, yeah.
necessarily
That's
leaving a
a good point.
nasty nub mark. But these sanding sticks that kit came with, I don't know what I'd do without them because they are fantastic. They come in everything. My only complaint about them is that they're not labeled, so you don't know exactly which grit you've got unless you're feeling for it. And when you're feeling between like a 1200 and a 2000 grit, it starts to get a little muddy as to which one you're holding. So
Yeah, I've also learned the labels are important. I went a while almost eyeing it, and I don't think I was doing myself service. So later on, I ended up getting from Amazon. They were just sticks with the. And do you happen to have any in the link?
the sanding sticks.
Yeah.
I don't have
Oh,
any links to that below, but I
I
do.
see the glass file, which really is the next step of that. Yeah.
That is the next step, and I'm that's the next thing that I want to talk about because I have some money saving tips here for you. But I'd say that there's pros and cons to everything. We'll see how that goes. I will say that despite the slight price increase from the God Hand to the Tamiya nippers, this this is like a $25 pair of Tamiya nippers, and I would put these against the higher end God Hand six
Oh, and
days a
it's
week.
it's being a side cutter. Does that mean it's single blade, or just means it's
It
where it has that angle?
it is a double blade. It just has that angle to it that
Cool.
and in particular, I wish I had some. Well, the only runners I have nearby happen to be polycaps, but in particular, what I like about this is that because it has that angled cut to it, you can get right up along the part, and it kind of pinches away from the part, and it will leave stress marks on the whichever side you face this way, uh towards the beveling is where you're going to see
Mhm.
more of the stress marks on the plastic. And so it gives you that ability to control, like, okay, if I'm gonna damage the plastic, at least I'm going to damage the part that I'm not going to use.
Oh, that's a lot of stuff that I've learned. It's like these tools are important, but then it's like how to use them that might not be typical. Um, you know, really get the most out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of this, of course, comes down to the fact that, like, if you don't want to spend the $50-$60 on a pair of God Hand nippers, which oh, and I think, let me see. So I'm looking on Amazon right now. That's what we've got up on screen. But you can also find both of these nippers on New Type US. Again, apologies for the American only audience. I want to say that New Type ships to Canada as well. The God Hand P125s, that same model that I just showed you on Amazon, is actually like $5 cheaper on New Type US. So
Oh,
Now, I
Okay,
think
good to
that
know.
there are going to be shipping charges involved, but they they do have a free shipping threshold. I don't know what it is, but I mean, basically, it's like if you throw a high grade kit and these nippers to your cart, you're probably going to hit that free shipping threshold, and you're getting the same pair of nippers for $5 less. I'd say that
Oh,
that's pretty quality.
smart. Thanks for sharing that. That seems like one of those tips that someone would keep to themselves, but no,
Yeah,
thank you.
well, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, yeah, like Amazon's great for the convenience, and if you're a Prime member, you get the free 2 day or whatever. But like, if you're not, I would rather shop with a small business like New Type. They're based in California, I believe, and they've always been really sweet to me. Every order I place with them, I get a like personalized email from their owner, and she's really cool, says, hey, really appreciate your business. If there's anything we can do, let us know. Always good. Always good. Um, oh, I got a big comment here from Spanking Goose. Found some quite interesting subcanon for Transformers and Gundam. When the voice of Optimus Prime narrated the Gundam commercial stateside, that means Optimus Prime archived Gundam history on Cybertron. Indeed, he did.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a connection right there.
When the United Earth Sphere Alliance. I cannot do a good oh, what is his name? Who is it that does Optimus Prime's voice? It's not
Not Welker.
no,
Frank
Frank
Weller.
Welker was Megatron. And it's not
It's the other one that we
and
just
it's not Kevin
forgot.
Conroy, who we just lost.
R.I.P. Yeah. I
The only
love
Batman.
trying to. Peter Cullen. Thank you, Lucas.
Peter
Here.
Cullen. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. But that
Peter
Batman
Cullen's so
voice.
great that he made it into the Bayverse movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, again, there's a connection to everything.
exactly right. Um So, like I said, nippers are obviously a must-have when it comes to Gunpla. And if you're not going to spring for the $50-$60 God Hand nippers, then you are going to want something to clean up those nub marks afterwards because you're going to leave them for sure.
Oh,
Now, I have in the past purchased the Gun Primer Razor, which I have here. Fantastic little tool. And Gun Primer is if I had to talk about what Gun Primer is, they are like the supreme of Gunpla tools. They are
yeah.
insanely
I don't know how to
expensive,
explain it.
but very like, obviously we're scrolling through their website now. Everything's beautiful. It's like the cleanest look. We get down here to the gate remover set, which of course they call their nubs gates in Korea.
Oh,
Um, they do ship worldwide because they're Korean based. But the Razor Origin is what I have here. But I did buy it as part of the gate remover set, the razor, the balancer, and the little polish cloth. Now, what I will say is that the Razor is a fantastic nub remover file. It is a micro glass file that's used mostly for nail polishing as opposed to Gunpla building, but this one obviously is branded for Gunpla. And like I said, that price a little steep, but if you use promo code Hatter on their website, you get 10% off that. So
oh, there you go.
there's that.
I've
But
always heard of this brand, but have never got them. So this might be time I try it.
I had to try them out because I think that you know, it's like I want to sample things that are expensive, things that are marketed towards Gunpla builders, and then I want to compare them to my kind of like hacky off-brand alternatives. Because if there's something that I think is out there that can't be emulated from a cheaper alternative, then obviously, I would like to say, hey, like I think that as far as like Debon model kits go and like the off-brand third-party model kits, there are some that are pretty decent. Like I think the master grade Zazabi from Debon is pretty good, but some of their other kits like the Hyakushiki is not particularly well put together. The parts don't fit together right. It's like it's pretty awkward. But in
You
the
know,
case, oh, go ahead.
and that kind of reminds me, like, as we look at the gun primer, and one's called Razor, that just made me think Razor, and it made me think how, like, people that are into computer games or computer gaming,
Oh yeah.
uh, for some reason that sounded like an old man was saying that, but there's usually like this certain brand you will get where they have these accessories that, yeah, sure, everyone makes them, but a lot of times you want to go to that certain brand. And getting into Gunpla, the only time I would hear about that is the Tamiya stuff. So this is, I
Yeah.
guess, a good example of that where it's a brand. Yeah, you try them out, see if it's good quality, and it might be worth, especially for people that might not be as experimental as you are with trying different things. You can just pay the premium to get the really good quality stuff, the
Yeah.
brand you recognize.
And I think that that's probably where the value in this comes from, right? Is like, if you get their products, you know that they're going to be good. You don't have to worry about, messing up one of your kits the they're tried and true.
Right.
You're not kind of making do with some kind of kitschy product, but it's kind of like those diaper commercials, like you live, learn, get loves, right? Not in this family. We but but suffice to say, I would say that as far as the gun primer gate removal set goes, the balancer is far more useful to me now that I have discovered other products than the razor. The balancer in particular, it's really just a nail polishing sponge, obviously. I've gotten some pretty extensive use out of it, and I've even rubbed off some paint accidentally. But that has been part of some of the things that I've used it for. In particular, if I've done some hand painting with enamels, I've been able to kind of smooth out brush strokes and remove texture in order to get it clean and basically looking like an airbrushed part by going in with the
Oh,
balancer
on
after the fact.
on top of the paint,
Yeah,
top of the
like
brushstrokes.
basically
Wow.
right on top of the brush strokes. I'm basically kind of polishing out that texture and smoothing it out, and it has worked for
Oh,
me. So this is something that I would endorse, even if it was not part of this set. Is the balancer.
okay.
Oh, let's see. I've got some questions here. Um, Kevin will be missed. He was always my heart and soul, definitive voice of Batman. Yes, Kevin Conroy he's the man. You know, I would say like more so than Adam West. He's
Yeah.
the voice of Batman for everyone.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a good point. There was, yeah, Adam West until, the Batman movie by Tim Burton.
oh
And
yeah,
that was great too. It was just that cartoon was like too good
it was
for
just
so many reasons.
iconic.
Not just the way it looked, but the fact that the stories and what they presented during that time where it was played on TV, like that was, yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah, it was a perfect storm. All of those '90s comic book cartoons, Spider-Man, X-Men,
X-Men, yeah.
so
All
good.
yeah, that's crazy because I'm not too into Marvel, but I love that X-Men cartoon. And even with DC, I love that. I love Batman stuff. So it's
Oh yeah,
and a lot of it came from the cartoons, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I think I liked that stuff before. I think the cartoons were just top tier of what you could like of X-Men, Spider-Man, or Batman. Those cartoons really solidified that.
yeah, yeah. They created you know, whole generation of fans for that
Yeah.
material. Now the questions: do transforming Gundams have prototype reversed engineered T-Cogs? Was it archived after the Cybertronian Civil War before the help with Vector Prime? Um, I would say no, because the transforming Gundams, as much as I love my precious Zeta, they have always talked about how there is structural fragility that comes with with the transformation
The
mechanics.
Transformer. Okay.
Fai Ting says my daughter plays classical guitar and she has a glass file for her nails. Might have to steal it. Yes, I would recommend that. Or,
Interesting.
if we're going to go that route, let me see if I can pull this guy up. Um,
So a
So,
glass file for her nails to be prepared to pluck strings. That's really cool. Never about that.
you know what? I probably need to put glass in the search here. I don't have a brand name associated with it. Well, would you look at that? We even found a less expensive version of the one that I've got.
Oh, interesting. I guess because it's being marketed for something different.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So, this is essentially the exact same file that we're looking at here. It is a nano glass nail file. Um, there are some disadvantages to this. The link that I have down in the description below is to this exact one, and it's part of a 2-pack. It's about $8. This one that we're looking at here on Amazon's $6, so $2 less, and it looks like you get 3 files instead of 2. What I will say is that it has a little bit more filing surface than the Gun Primer Razor, which we've got here on my left, your right, and that can be both a good thing and a bad thing, because obviously getting into some of those tight spaces, maybe working on like a V-fin or something like that, sometimes you might want a smaller option. If they made like a small round one, like a straw type version of this
Oh,
nano file, that would be a total game changer, because getting into like curved spaces and like in between joints and things would be
yep.
awesome. But it is the
It's a great
exact
idea.
same file. It is literally the exact same file, and you get 2 of them for less than half the price of what you would pay for that Gun Primer Razor. So, and of course now here we're looking at this other option on Amazon that's $6. So now, I will say that people have told me that you can get these types of files from, drugstores, things like that. I have not had any luck finding these types of files. Typically, I found these types, the larger glass files, that will not give you the smooth nub removal finish as one of these, nano files. I think look for the term nano in the title is definitely makes all the difference.
Ah, okay. Because I sent you a link to something, but yeah, it doesn't say nano. It looks like it's a cylindrical.
Oh,
Uh,
see, that might be the
it
that might
doesn't
be
say
what I'm looking
nano.
for, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's interesting. Because it has a different. It's double sided. The edges on each side are a little different, but it's curved, so you could probably get into certain corners or smaller areas. Because you are right, there are so many times where even if I wanted to shave off an area, even if it's not directly next to it, there's a piece that's just sticking up a little bit, so it's like I can't unless I file down another piece. So
Exactly. And you don't want to, tear something up that you don't mean to. So on screen now, this is the one that I have. It's I guess the brand name is Dr. Mode. That one.
Dr. Mode,
I don't know who Dr. Mode
yeah,
is, but he makes a fine glass file.
he did a good job with his doctorate.
Yes,
I don't know.
definitely took it seriously. So yes, and this is one of those perfect examples where, like you said, if you're not sure what you're looking for and you're shopping online, maybe it's better to just go ahead and buy the Gun Primer Razor so that you know that you're getting exactly what you need. But if you kind of know what you're looking for and you know to look for like a nano nail file polisher, it's the exact same product. It's just marketed to a different audience, and you might be able to get like 2 for 1, 3 for 1. You might be able to get like a pack
Yeah.
of different sizes and shapes in order to get into the different nooks and crannies of your Gunpla, which there are many.
Yeah.
um, so let's see here. Actually, I need to.
See, Lucas Garrett is saying season 4 of Batman the Animated Series is the best series or season. So I'll have to look or check that out again. I did rewatch the anime series like 5 years ago. Have to do it again. What I loved was on the Sega CD. There was a Batman animated series game. It was a car game, but it had its own episode of Batman the Animated Series. Um, and what is neat about that is they didn't have the rights to the Batman music, so they had to compose brand new music, and it sounded like Batman music, but it was a completely different person.
Well, wasn't
Look
the
for it.
Batman animated series music done by Danny Elfman?
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's probably why they didn't have. So they made up some new music that sound just like Batman. Like I would even just listen to the music. Sega CDs you could just put into a CD player and listen.
Man,
So,
that was such an awesome era of the 90s
yeah.
where like you would get bonus CDs. I remember buying a pair of jeans that came with a sample CD of like random rock bands, which was hilarious because I think the band Filter was on that sample CD that I got buying that pair of jeans. And then that was
Good
like
time
2
for it.
years before Filter blew up.
And I bet they were Jinko jeans. Right?
Don't put me out like that. They were Jinko jeans.
Okay.
Yes, that Danny Elfman indeed. Don't mind the conspiracy cuckoos in the chat. Wait, what did I miss? I missed some
Oh,
uh
that Danny Elfman, yeah, the composer of Army of Darkness, the main theme song.
yes,
Danny
and
Elfman.
Men in Black, uh
Yeah,
Batman.
really, I guess. Yeah. And then I guess played an instrument for the band Grateful Dead. I don't know if he was a bassist or something.
Oh, was he? I knew of Oingo Boingo, but I had I did not know that that he was in Grateful Dead as well. Wild.
Unless I'm misremembering.
Well, and I think Danny Elfman also was supposed to be the voice of Jack Skellington, Nightmare Before Christmas, but they took that away from him
Oh,
at the last moment.
very interesting
Yeah.
because either you told me this or someone else did where like something about Nightmare Before Christmas and like Danny Elfman would think it's his like he saw it and he's like great job with the visuals to the music as if like the movie was the music and it kind of is it's a musical
Yeah.
in a way interesting story there.
Well, that was a fun tangent. I'm
Oh yeah.
glad that oh man, everyone has such positive memories of Kevin Conroy. It's like
Yeah.
it's so hard,
Then
when
like the games like he didn't stop and you
oh
had
yeah,
Mark Hamill like it created this whole universe. Yeah, that voice of Batman, I always try to mimic it.
I am the night.
Robin, need to get the Joker, Robin. I got to work on it. Like it takes some time to get that out there. But the Joker, oh, Bats, I will come for you soon. I don't know.
Well, and more than anything, Kevin Conroy is the only Batman that got both Bruce and Batman right. I think that, like,
Oh
for
yeah,
instance, like Christian Bale, everybody loves Christian Bale. I can't stand him personally. I thought that he was a
didn't like
great
that Batman.
Batman. He was a terrible Bruce Wayne. The flip side of that is like Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton, great Bruce Wayne, not necessarily a convincing Batman. And maybe that had to do with the fact that he couldn't turn his head in the suit and he's looking like
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
But
That's a good point.
yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah, Kevin Conroy, yeah, the because even for a kid to not understand maybe that duality that the hero would have, at least when he would talk as Bruce Wayne, it was a very different, more
right.
like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Alfred,
And then
I'm
when,
sorry.
yeah, exactly. Like it was very well done. The only other time I think that I've been convinced by that, and people might not agree, is Ben Affleck, because it like the Bruce Wayne was so broken, like a
Yeah.
mess, like, and I was like, wow, that's done very well.
Yeah, I'll give you
Anyway,
that one. That's I'm
the
glad that
next,
that Ben's coming back for, well, at least that's the
yeah,
rumor, right? Is that Ben's
I
coming back
know.
for
I like the physicality he brings. No, because
absolutely.
I know we're getting on a tangent, but that's the one thing. Like, it's like you make a superhero movie. I mean, it could be anyone. It's like, oh, Spider-Man movie. Let's hire Jackie Chan. Why wouldn't you?
Right. It's
Like, because then you're gonna get the real like acrobatics and all that. That's why I like it when actors can also do the physical. Like Bruce Campbell. It's not like
yeah.
he's like an action star, but he adds that physicality in his roles and that adds that charm.
Yeah. Yeah, he's
But
got a very like a brutality almost to him that lends itself well to the violence of Evil Dead and Army of Darkness, like
yep. Mhm. Yeah.
But yes, not to get too far off in the weeds. Um, like I said, those are really the only two things that I would recommend for any Gunpla user. Is obviously something to remove your nub marks and something to cut the pieces off the runner. That's all you need. You know, if you're just going to be building, when you start getting into customization and you want cleanup, you know, obviously we can talk about panel lining and things like that. I will say that although I prefer the Tamiya nippers to the God Hand personally, the Tamiya plastic cement is terrible compared to the Mr. Hobby. So, you know, that's a record of 1-1 for you, Tamiya. But the Mr. Hobby, Mr. Cement, at least the S is the one that I've been using, is
Yeah.
pretty solid.
The same one.
S for solid,
Was it
obviously.
I picked off tips of a Metal Robot Spirits V-fin of the Wing Zero, and this helped me get it back on easily. So,
Yeah. The I think that what it comes down to is not just whatever formulation they're using, because you know, I've tried using things like acetone and other types of products, but it's also the applicator makes a huge difference, and the
love
applicator
it.
that you get with the Mr. Hobby bottle is just way more precise, especially when you're
Yeah.
working with these like fine edges that you don't want to accidentally spill too much onto, you know, a panel line or something like that and mess something up.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, there would be my recommendation there, and that's a pretty inexpensive buy, $5,
Yeah.
you know.
Might as well just pick it up. Put the link. It's in the description right now.
Yeah, there you go for it. Um, now
Oh, hey, Rook
another.
New Type.
Oh, hey, what's going on,
Just
buddy?
jumped in the chat.
Glad to see you in the chat here, and
Yeah.
especially, you know, a fellow Gunpla enthusiast as himself.
Mhm.
Um, sure that he would have a lot to offer on this topic as well. So,
Yeah.
don't text and drive though.
Yeah.
Now, another tool option that, again, I got the idea from Gun Primer, but there are less expensive options out there if you are willing to take a chance. So I actually have the older version of the Grida, or Grida. It's
Mm.
actually the word is Korean for draw. And the reason that they
Oh,
like this particular tool is that it is essentially just a mechanical pencil with a needle in it, and you use it to scribe panel lines. It gives you a much more controlled sensation compared to, say, like the if I have a chisel nearby. There's
that or using an X-Acto knife or something.
Right, yeah, a tool that
I know what you
doesn't feel
mean.
as familiar in your hand. There's a certain appeal to the fine point and of course the kind of pencil grip that you're getting from using a mechanical
Yeah.
pencil to draw those panel lines on there. Now, if you don't feel like paying almost $30 for a tool like this, go get yourself a mechanical pencil and put a sewing needle in it and you have exactly the same product. In fact,
Wow.
I would argue that you might even have a better final product because um one of the nice things about most sewing needles is that they round off at the back, obviously, so that you can thread some thread into the
Yeah.
but especially if you have a rear loading mechanical pencil, as this one, oh yeah, this one is. You just have to pull the eraser out first. So if you have a rear loading pencil like this and you drop a needle in there, then the wider base is going to make sure that the needle doesn't just slide out when you start clicking it out.
Yeah.
So
That is
added,
fascinating. So you've tested this out and you think it works just as good as the $28 or $30 one?
yeah, what I would say
Or
is that
better?
there's a slight difference in the shape of the chisel. So
Yeah.
the chisel that they offer, and there's no way in hell that I'm going to get a fine enough camera focus on this tip of this chisel. It's kind of triangled off, so it has some finer edges to it, as opposed to a sewing needle.
Right.
Obviously is round, and so it doesn't have like a solid edge to pull on. But
Hmm.
I think that the finished product, no one's going to be able to tell. It's really just a feel preference. Um,
Wow, that is pretty fascinating.
and that's what inspired the tool to begin with, right? Is they and that's kind of one of the nice things about Gun Primer as a brand is that they observe the tools that they see other people using for Gunpla, and then they're like, well, we could just make that tool specifically geared towards Gunpla and sell it at a premium. So
Yeah, yeah, that kind of goes back to, yeah, you can just buy something that does the job. It's made for that, straightforward for someone that just wants to do some straightforward building.
exactly right. I mean, sometimes you don't want to do the homework, and that's that's basically the premium that you're paying when you go to a brand like
Yeah.
Gum Primer or Tamiya or God Hand. You could probably find a tool that does the job just as well, and hopefully I've shown a couple that will do that for you. But you know, you don't want to put in that work, then a couple extra bucks and you can get something that's designed specifically for it.
Yeah. I tend to do that when I'm first getting into something. I look at what's the main thing that everyone is kind of using and basing, and then from there you kind of get into rabbit holes of how you can
Oh yeah.
build your. It's like MacGyvering stuff all the time,
Well,
really.
and it's the internet. You're always going to find people that argue about what's
Oh yeah,
what's the best
what is good
option.
or what is. Yeah, yeah,
Um
true.
Now the last thing that I'm going to give an honorable mention to is this Hasegawa Tri-Tool saw kit. And I've mentioned this on stream before.
Yeah,
If you are the type of person that likes to make minor customizations to your kits, or major customizations for that matter, this is ideal for, one of the things that I think almost everyone should do when it comes to their high grade kits is to split the front skirts
oh
of the
yeah,
kit, because most front skirts, it's like the two flaps and they're connected by a bar in the center, and you can tell which ones are designed to be cut because they will have like a actually, let me see if we can find a good example here.
so I have a little bit more of a gap between the two ball joints.
There will almost be like a little, yeah, if it's a ball joint, that's ideal because that one
Mm,
is literally designed to be cut. But there are some that kind of just have like a little notch or something on them that keeps it from falling out even after you've cut them in half. I'm wondering if this here Marisai has one. Oh, I maybe be a little bit more delicate about removing this front skirt.
I was gonna look at my Delta Chi, but it doesn't have a typical front.
Well, we lost it. Skirt down.
Looks like there's a stream
There it is.
repairing the Marisai.
um, so this one is probably not going to be a prime candidate for cutting the skirt in half. It has very fine little notches. You can see there's like two little notches that you could use theoretically to hold it in
Yeah,
place, but I'm willing to bet that if you were to cut this, it would dangle in two
yeah,
halves kind
flop
of thing.
around. Yeah.
So that would be one that I would not recommend using this little saw for, but
Oh, I wonder if that would be the correct physics.
maybe
No, because as he was moving, wouldn't it be? I don't know.
if
But
maybe kind of
anyway,
dangle around a little bit. Well, and that's why the
yeah,
ball jointed ones work the best for that, obviously.
yeah.
But yeah, what seems like an expensive buy, really, I mean, you're getting a lot of. This is the one that I have is the $18 model. You're getting three, four, five, six, seven, eight, yeah, eight individual saw types, and each of them has a uniquely designed blade for getting into certain creases and crevices. And because they are a fine sort of I think it's aluminum, honestly, they're flexible, so you can kind of bend them and use them at angles and things like that, which is awesome.
So could you lay the edge flat and then just kind of go back and forth? Is that how you?
Oh
It
yeah.
looks like even with how they're curved, yeah, you just get it over the right piece, just kind of move it back and forth, allow it to create the
Yeah, I mean,
line in
like,
there.
for instance, I won't get too far into the cutting on this because, obviously I don't wanna damage it, but, like, for instance, this one, the saw blade is on the inside curve, and so even just a simple pull like this is gonna leave a pretty severe cut, if that'll show up.
Hmm. Yeah, I saw it for like a second. That is interesting. That seems easier than I thought.
Yes,
You
these
could
are
mess it
extremely
up.
sharp. I've cut chunks
Oh,
of my
okay.
finger off,
Oh, okay.
using these
Well,
guys.
yeah.
But yes, I mean, I highly recommend them for any type of
Okay.
minor cutting work that you're gonna do. It's definitely better to use a serrated surface than like a flat surface like you would from like a hobby knife or something like that. But yeah, so that is really all I've got as far as, oh, well then of course, always my bonus mention is the old Krylon matte finish.
That- Oh, yeah.
You're gonna get a lot more mileage out of something like this than you will out of, a like a Tamiya or a Mr. Hobby
Yeah.
top coat.
And I've tested that. I've bought those Mr. Hobby, to me, smaller ones. Can't even complete a kit. It looks good, but it's like, man, I can't spend that.
And again, it goes back to the old, like, are you paying for the brand or are you paying for the product? With
Exactly.
Tamiya and with Mr. Hobby, yes, that top coat is going to look spectacular. You don't have to worry about messing something up. Um, I have I've used both Rust-Oleum and Krylon matte finishes. I don't use glosses, sorry. So like if you're the type of person that uses a gloss top coat, I don't have any advice for you. But as far as the matte finishes go, Rust-Oleum's garbage, Krylon is good. The
Yeah.
only drawback that I will mention that I learned about last week is the fact that Krylon will strip off any enamel based paints. So like
Oh,
these
yeah.
Esters model paints, for some reason,
Yeah.
the reaction between that spray and this paint makes it melt. So
That was a pretty interesting video. So if no one's watched last week's video, we kind of get into that stuff. It's pretty interesting.
yeah, yeah. Well, and that was just a lot of fun in general.
Yeah.
Hey, Zionic Shadow and
Oh,
Josue
hey,
Perez in the chat doing
I
dailies
see
for
you guys.
GBO2. What's going on, buddy? Um, yeah, you guys are just like having conversations.
No, it's the hangout.
It's yeah,
This is what you do on Wednesdays.
that's really what it's all about. It's just chilling, talking about
Yeah.
Gundams, and you know, hopefully giving you something to listen to in the background.
Oh,
Um,
of course.
and then of course, as always, honorable mention to these little Gundam markers for
Oh,
panel
yeah.
lining. But again, you can get something just as effective. In fact, I would argue something more effective. Here we've got a Prismacolor, a .005 millimeter fine liner pen. It's designed for, archival ink and inking comic books and things like that. But, if we were to look at the tips on this, and again, this is going to be one of those things where it's like, I don't know if the camera is going to focus on it for us, but look at the tip on Prismacolor compared to our Gundam marker rubbing off on my hand. I mean, you can
Yeah,
barely
it's
even
like,
see the tip on that Prismacolor.
yeah, that is interesting. Because you know what I found to be helpful too with markers like that is there's a lot of kits I'll get to where I've noticed there's like a dark spot just kind of colored in a crevice that
Yeah,
is not actually on the kit, but it's not that it needs it to be painted or I don't need to bust my paint out for that. Easily use a marker for
yeah,
that. One of these markers, especially the tips like that.
yeah.
That's a
And
good
so,
one. Prismacolor, you said,
yeah,
right?
Prismacolor, Micron's another brand. Prismacolor's a little cheaper than the Microns. There's some other ones that are out there as well The only ones that I don't recommend are the Copic brand fine liners, since they're alcohol based. They kind of wash off almost instantly. So,
Mm. Oh
but
yeah, Xanaxin's got his SD today for the SD December. I need to get mine too. I need to.
oh
I'm gonna
man,
do that right now. A little
does
bit.
my sitting around here somewhere? I had
Do you
a.
have any SDs unopened?
I don't have any unopened SDs. I've got a couple of the cross silhouette options, and I do have. This was one that I actually bought for my wife that I was really proud of, was the Gundam Front Tokyo Granddaddy Gundam, but in
Oh,
SD form, which it has like all of the realistic markings that the Gundam Front Tokyo statue of the RX-78-2 has, but it's, miniaturized and cute.
yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, that one would be a cool one to mess with for sure.
Oh,
But yeah, so I mean,
yeah.
those are some of the options that I have. Adam, would you say that you have any honorable mentions as far as, say, some tools that you might recommend for Gunpla building that may be outside the box?
One thing I want to mention, and I love it, and I have one right here, and this is, I think, Tamiya, it's the tips. I think there's a more specific name for this, but they're like really, really thin. This helps with
Ooh,
so much stuff. Um, uh, Not only cleaning panel lining as I do, which another mention would be this uh panel lining, the accent color. I like the ink. You can kind of fill it in, later go back. Not only does this help with cleaning that up, but there's red on here, and I was using that to clean up after I painted. I needed to clean up some paint or to apply paint because I needed a very specific surface. So these are incredible for so many different
multi-use.
things. Yeah, it's good to have a whole bunch of them around. Yeah, helpful.
I dig that.
Um, of
That
course
that
for
definitely looks much more
decals.
useful than my cheapo.
Oh,
Um, I'm sure
I
everybody's
use
seen these. The like they're like the plastic sticks too. They're not even like a Q-tip Q-tip.
all the way through. Yeah, no. Sometimes, yeah, I'd have to use the big ones when I ran out, and you can tell a difference. Although the big ones are helpful. There's this model kit of Yoda that I built, and I was able to take the tops of the Q-tip and make his hair. I thought that was a pretty neat little trick. Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And, last but not least, you always need these nice little angled tweezers for decals.
Yes.
These are just perfect for that.
And again, that's one of those things that you can pay like $15 for a pair of Tamiya branded angled tweezers, but you could just as easily go to the skin and nails section of the grocery store or drugstore and find.
Or on Amazon, you can pay like $10 and get like a starter kit where some of the things might be cheap, but at least for that price, you're getting some good stuff to start with, and even like something to hold tools in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean this particular hobby knife, the handle of it was part of one of those kits. But you
Ah,
can get the handle and then just put nicer blades in it, and
yeah.
prime example there. But yeah, I mean that's about all I've got, and those are some good tips. Those are some good Q tips. Q tips and angled tweezers. That's something that I did not think of. Um,
It's like the little things that just make like those angled tweezers just make decal application easier. It's really what it boils down to.
you might even say that they spark joy.
Yeah.
Let's see. Spanking Goose, I'd love to do a stream just for Gundam theories and talking about the pros and Decepticons of a few. Hey, there you go. I would love to hear your takes on my previous Gundam theory video. It's a single one, but if that's something that you guys want to see more of, I would love to do more Gundam theory videos, because obviously I've got ideas.
Do.
Uh
They are cool ideas too. Like you start mentioning one and then we'll go off for a while.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah,
and hopefully
be a good
they
video.
they spawn lots of arguments. That's
Yeah.
my goal is to be the Ryan Johnson of Gundam. No, I'm kidding.
No.
That's
Oh man.
I don't want
I
to
could just
trigger people like
imagine
that.
Amuro coming back as a ghost to talk to who would he talk to? Benager?
Yeah,
And what would he say? Like, yeah, that's
I mean Uso would
uh,
hand him like a Gundam beam saber, and he'd
yeah, just
just
throw it behind. But there's something to that. There is something to having a Gundam protagonist where he is being mentored by a spirit through the new type, brainwaves, where we see that occurs.
There
There
you
could be
go.
something there.
Spoken to Amuro, I have.
No, that was good. That was good. And
Um,
and and Yoda looks exactly like Yoda, except between
yeah.
the ears, it's the green Haro ball, but it has the Yoda ears.
Oh, I think I just came up with my SD kit idea. I'm gonna go look for a
Oh,
Haro, and we are gonna put some ears on him.
baby Haro.
But yeah, I think that I am gonna go ahead and wrap us up here for this evening because I think we covered just about everything that I wanted to talk about. Um,
Yeah.
but am I missing anything? I did mention, obviously, go check out Gundam Explained. We've got the podcast tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central. Check out both of the Discords. Obviously, there's going to be lots of fun stuff coming up soon there. I've got a couple of big announcements coming up soon, not to be too cryptic, but hopefully it's going to be more content for you guys. So there should be some excitement in the works. Adam, what have you got for us?
That's about it. Yeah, can't wait to do some more talking tomorrow. Yeah, just it's one of those weeks where we didn't have a wish for Mercury for the first time, so no obligations to speak on that.
Talk about a hole in one.
I know.
Because of golf of all things. Um but yeah, thank you guys for keeping the chat so lively. You guys obviously were having fun with this topic, and of course, it's always fun, fantasy battles between Gundams and Transformers. Gundams do always win. That's, spoiler alert. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for joining me, Adam. Looking forward to
Oh
talking
yeah.
to you again tomorrow night. Thank you guys so much for keeping the chat popping. And like I said, I hope to reward you guys with some new stuff coming out soon and in the very near future. Maybe before Christmas. We'll make it a Christmas present. um,
Oh yeah, that'd be sick.
but yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you guys to see some of these kind of alternatives to the more expensive tools out there, and you can get some use for them. If I missed anything, if there's something that you can think of, leave it down in the comments below on the on-demand version of this video, because I would love to test it out. If there's anything that you want me to test out, obviously I'm something of a Gunpla mad scientist myself, so I
You
am
could even
happy
turn it into
to.
a video based on what tips you give Hatter here.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to melt just about any kit in my collection for science. So
There you go. All for science.
exactly.
Oh,
But yeah, thank you guys so much. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great rest of your week. We will see you tomorrow, and be excellent to each other. Peace.